we're starting? Oh, hello, and welcome to Cognitive Corner, where we talk about all things cognition. Today, we will be talking about an assessment, but not just any assessment, but, you guessed it, a cognitive assessment. Let's get right into it. Hello again. As I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about an assessment, more specifically, the Cognitive Assessment of Minnesota. This is a screening tool created by occupational therapists that assesses, you guessed it, cognition, more specifically cognitive skills, in adults with neurological impairments. Now that we have the basics, let's dive further into this assessment. Adults who have sustained brain injuries, such as CVAs or TBIs, and who present at the level 4 through 7 of Rancho's Los Amigos scale of cognitive functioning, qualify for this assessment. This means that they're showing some signs of cognitive impairment. But why? Why the Cognitive Assessment of Minnesota? Is it reliable? Is it valid? Well, let's get into that. Many studies have shown that the Cognitive Assessment of Minnesota has a good reliability and validity. They show that there's an adequate test-retest reliability with an internal consistency of 0.87 for total score and a 0.76 for orientation. There's also an inter-rater reliability of 0.90. There's a good concurrent validity for assessing cognitive impairment when compared with professional clinical judgment of occupational therapists. What this means is that this assessment is something that occupational therapists trust. We know that the Cognitive Assessment of Minnesota assesses cognition, but what about cognition does this assessment really assess? Well, the cognitive hierarchy is divided into 4 areas, which are knowledge, calculation, social, and thinking. These are further divided into 17 subtests. What is it that I need to administer the Cognitive Assessment of Minnesota? Well, let me tell you. You can get the Pearson Starter Kit right on Pearson's website for $196.30. What this includes is the examiner's manual, 8 test cards, 25 score booklets, and a vinyl carrying case. You may need some additional materials depending on the subtest that you are administering at the time. Now on to the fun part of the assessment, the administration. Now, unlike my love life, this administration process is pretty straightforward. All the directions can be found right in the examiner's manual, in which it tells you precisely what to say and what to look for. The test has 29 items, with 17 subtests, ranging from simple to complex. This should always be administered in order and in a closed environment with little to no distractions. Each subtest comes with its own set of instructions, materials, and how to score. Now, you should set a good hunk of time aside because this does take around 40 to 80 minutes to administer. Now that you have a better understanding of the Cognitive Assessment of Minnesota, let's get into the strengths. First, I would like to highlight how this assessment was created by occupational therapists, which happens to be its #1 biggest strength. Not only that, but this is also very easy to use as all the instructions and directions that you'll need are right in the examiner's manual. This also uses inexpensive common items and functional-based activities. Not only that, but this assessment covers a large range of cognitive impairments, as well as provides a global measure of cognition. Now, it also allows for a hierarchical grading of cognitive skills, which can be useful for monitoring change over time. Like in all aspects of life, this assessment does have its weaknesses. It is expensive, $196.30, but it's also not meant as a diagnostic tool. It's only meant as a screening tool. Not all the materials are included in the kit. Some of them you have to go out and purchase yourself. And this assessment is quite lengthy, as it takes around 40 to 80 minutes to administer. Scoring for this assessment is quite easy. Each subtest has its own scoring criteria, but it all comes down to this. For mild to no impairment, you score them a 3. For mild impairment, you score them a 2. For severe impairment, you score them a 1. Then there's also intact, which you score them a 2, or impaired, which you score them a 1. The highest score you can achieve on this assessment is an 80. So depending on what you get on each of the subtests, you get put into 3 categories. There's mild, which is a score ranging from 52 to 80. There's moderate, which ranges 30 to 51. And then there's severe, which ranges from 0 to 29. According to the occupational therapy framework, this assessment evaluates the client factor body function, or more specifically, mental function. This assessment provides insight to the therapist on the cognitive ability of the client and whether they need further intervention or treatment. This is an important aspect because it could be the deciding factor for continuing with treatment or even for discharge. Wow, it's been such a positively cognitive day here at Cognitive Corner. I hope you learned as much as I did. I wonder how many times I said cognitive today. Well, you'll find out next time when we come back with some more cognitive news. I have to go assess a client now, so until next time, stay cognitive.